Hey guys, welcome back to Maxplained, Dawn of our Unification. Today I have another faction guide for you, this time for the Demon Hunter Inquisition side of things. Whereas the Grey Knights were like buffed up Space Marines, the Inquisition is more like Imperial Guard in many ways, but with later on elite infantry, which Imperial Guard sometimes lacks a bit, with a higher, how should I say, a higher degree on vehicle presence in tier 2, for example. So the Inquisition is more like this. They are considered or were considered weaker than the Grey Knights, but I think this has, I don't want to say shifted, but has more or less equalized with the last versions. Yeah, I have prepared a save game for you where we will jump into right now. And here we are in the save game. Before we jump into the units and buildings and stuff, as usual, we talk about resources and unit caps. The resources are completely standard. You have requisition, you have power, you get requisition through listening posts, upgrading listening posts, having from your HQ plus 20, and you can increase your income with 2 researchers. Similarly, power is also pretty standard. You have generators, and big generators have upgrades for that. The one thing about the generators is that they start really cheap with 125 requisition, but then each additional generator costs you plus 20 requisition to build. So you have a little Necron vibe to them. So the more generators you build, the more resources you have to spend. The caps are kind of standard, but kind of not. You start with 8 and 0 instead of the usual 10 and 0, but can go up to 20. You get Inquisition infantry squad cap via the Inquisitorial Watch, which is your primarily unit building here, plus 2 for each of them, plus 2 for the Grey Knight Teleporter, plus 1 for having the Lord Inquisitor on the field, and also plus 2 for the Justica, which is the squad leader of the strike squad. You get vehicle pop, and you have a infantry research, but only 1, increasing it by plus 5. Then you have vehicle cap, you get from 4 researchers, each grinding plus 5, and then the Grey Knight Teleporter add-on, which is the heavy duty teleporter, also provides plus 2 vehicle cap. The interesting part about the vehicle cap researches is that they not only increase the cap, but also provide the vehicles with more HP and sometimes abilities. Okay, with this out of the way, we now can talk about the buildings. I showed you here the buildings. There aren't a lot of them, but enough, I guess. You have the HQ. I put the HQ here a second time so you can see how the tier 2 add-on looks like with the cages and stuff. This shows you that it is tier 2. Tier 3 and tier 4 are researchers, so you cannot see it from outside basically. Yeah, your HQ is basically where you get your builders, your capping units, and some commander units and stuff, and also your cap increases, as well as the tier 2 add-on. The tier 3 and 4 researchers are also in the HQ. In tier 1 you have access to 2 buildings, which is the Inquisition Watch and the Librarian. Inquisition Watch is where you get your stormtroopers. You get it from your HQ and here, and a lot of Inquisition vehicles later on, as well as a hell of a lot of upgrades buffing your Inquisitorial stormtroopers for the most part. And the new unit was added is the Adamus Assassin. We will talk about units later. Tier 3 assassin unit, basically. In tier 2 you can add the Domus Astra Navigatio and the Grey Knight Teleporter. The Librarian. The Librarian is your main research building. You get researches, or like your hero building you could think of. You get the researches for your Lord Inquisitor. You get in tier 2 your Grey Knight Librarian. In tier 1 you get also Scholars, which is you could think of it as like a command squad, kind of like. And maintenance servitors, which are mainly to repair, but in general too expensive for what they do, in my mind. And tier 2 adds weapon servitors, which are basically your heavy weapon teams. They start off with heavy bolters and can get multimeters later down the line. So very good. In tier 2 you can add the Domus Astra Navigatio, which gives you access to your flyer unit, as well as your relic and super heavy units, as well as 2 neat abilities like these Land Strike and whatever these, what is it called again, Exterminus Incipio, does friendly fire, target location effective against vehicles, next to users, this is very good against infantry, and this is very good against vehicles, basically. And this needs to be targeted on a unit, and this can be targeted on the field. Basically, it starts a big boomy thing. The range of this increases the more Domus Astra Navigatio you have, limited to 3. And yeah, each of them has the AoE, basically. So the idea is that you build this kind of closer to your opponent, but in almost all tier 1 one-on-one situations you can almost target the enemy base. If you put it a little closer, of course you can target it. And then you have your I told you everything here, and then you have your Grey Knight teleporter, which gives you access to your Grey Knight units, which is your strike squad in tier 2, as well as the Grey Knight apothecary. In tier 3 you can add the Grey Knight terminators and Brother Captain Everestone, and tier 3.5 is these dreadnoughts over here. One thing about the HQ, it has a similar aura as I've showed you in the Grey Knight guide. It has it seems like a health regeneration aura to it. The listing posts are also special, like the LP1 has no aura, but the LP2 also has an aura which is not really stated what it does, but it buffs your units, your infantry units, in some shape or form. Our generators I have talked to here, and your defensive buildings apart from your listening posts are only the Purification Decree, which is like Minefield but better. It has okay-ish HP, but has a relatively large area where it slows enemies, and also I think damages them a bit, or at least it can get an upgrade in tier 2, which lets them project an aura as well that buffs the units, and with the tier 2 add-on it most certainly damages units around. So the slow is pretty big. You do not have access to turrets, so you rely on your listening posts, which are really strong with their sappy bits, as well as your Purification Decrees. More interesting fact about the buildings is that most buildings can also deep strike. Like here in the Inquisition Watch, you can put in a lot of infantry units. It has quite a big delay. I think it's 20 or 15 seconds. For the Grey Knights you can deep strike, and what is most funny thing, which I can show you later, you can deep strike these Land Raiders, which have a really awesome animation. I gotta say, maybe I just do it for fun's sake. Phobos here, let's rebuild it, and you can see here, really nice animation. I really like it how it comes in, poof, sets it up, and there you go, Land Raider Phobos on the field. I really like that. I think that's it for the buildings. I think so, yeah. So we now can jump over to the units, and usually we start off with the builder and commander units. The builder units is the architect. The architect is interesting builder as it is a vehicle, so it is a little more sturdy, but can also jump. Has no attack, however, so yeah, you need to be careful. Not the biggest HP, but the vehicle armor in general makes it a little more durable than your usual builder. Pretty nifty unit. And yeah, one unit I also kind of count to builder units is this maintenance servicer, because they can repair. They can also stun and are decent-ish in melee, but cost a hell of a lot of resources for their stuff. I think there's a tier 3 upgrade which makes them a little better in terms of HP, but again they are costing 10 power each model, which is quite big. Okay, the commanders are plentiful. You have 7 commanders, quotation. Your first commander is the Lord Inquisitor, can get the Emperor's Wrath ability, temporarily increasing his damage and reducing its damage he gets. And then you have the Banish, which is basically a targeted AoE spell, useful against can also demons and monsters, it says, but also commanders. And then you have this little thing here we will talk about later, because we are not radical here. And he has also an last tier 3, I think, upgrade, which gives him some passive bonuses, which I would need to read up first to see what it does again, so sorry about that. In tier 2 you get access to a whole bunch of new commanders, like these. You get access to the Death Cult Assassin, which is similar to the Sisters of Battle Assassin, very good against infantry and commanders. It's infiltrated and has 2 very special grenades. You have the Disruption Grenades, which stuns enemy infantry, and you have the Blind Grenades, which reduces their accuracy and also their sight range. This one is activated by the Advanced Weaponry 1 research, and this one by the Advanced Weaponry 2. Your limit of 2 or 3 of those ladies over here. Then you have this Olastic Acolyte, which is basically a unbreakable melee only commander-like unit. Fearless Radical Zealot. And yeah, he will play a bigger role on our little radical fellows we will talk later on. Then you have also access to the Grey Knight Librarian, which is not as big as the Grey Knight Terminator Librarian the Grey Knights have, so he is not as buff, not as many spells to his use. He still has the Smite, which is always very good, but then you have also Recon Resolve, which reduces morale of an enemy target squad, and then you have also the World of the Emperor. Yeah, they continue to take damage, but they will not die, basically. And they can also detect and is decent-ish in melee. Tier 2 also is access to the Grey Knight Apothecary, which is your pretty standard apothecary, has an health regeneration aura and can be detached to squads, so pretty standard here. In Tier 3 you get access to 2 more units, which is the Brother Captain Evan Stern, which is overall a pretty big melee guy, also some psychic ranged abilities, like he has a range attack, he can teleport, has also the Zone of Banishment, which causes damage. Wow. And then you have Purge, also effective against monsters, so he has 2 things. The enemy cannot move, so it's also root damage and, how would you call it in other games, a mute, basically cannot use abilities, and then you have also the Purge. Poof. So basically 2 big AoE sappy abilities, very useful, very potent. And then the most special of all is the Adamus Assassin.
My blade is sharp and ready.
First and foremost has the best voiceover, of course, and has 2 modes basically. Here is in ranged mode, which has 3 abilities, and then you have melee mode, which also has 3 abilities. The 3 abilities in ranged is the Field Triage, restores health quickly, basically restores his health quickly, and then he can also, okay, he cannot move, can you please?
Striking the quickest path.
Oh, come on.
Where's my blade needed?
But he is not being able to move. Can we please start to move now? Okay, then you have to sprint on off. When you sprint, you cannot attack, I think. This more active, decreases unit accuracy. Basically a fleet of foot ability you can think of, and then you have sniper rifle, sniper fire, focus the accurate strikes, firing speed and accuracy of the pistol, which is basically temporarily buff. Then you can switch to melee mode, which makes him first and foremost invisible. Disables his ranged weapon, I think. He gets melter bombs, an impact bomb, smokes, dodges incoming fire, basically a smoke grenade, I think. Oh, wow. He does some... Wow, this is nifty. Wow, so he big knockback ability, actually. Okay. Then you have the 5-point exploding palm punch. Yeah, basically a targeted ability in range to enemy commanders probably, or single target enemies. I'm really interested in these impact bombs. Never have used them, but they look really strong in terms of knockback and utility. Really nice unit overall. I really like the versatility and uniqueness with the different weapon modes. You see here now he is again in ranged mode and stuff.
Way of striking shadow.
Okay. So this is the commanders. Now jump to the infantry. Infantry is in different numbers, kinda limited, but also very versatile. You have the Inquisitorial Stormtroopers, which is your starting unit. It's good against infantry, not so good against buildings. Has a lot of weapon available. In Tier 1 it's the Flamer and Grenade Launcher with the Advanced Weaponry Research. In Tier 2 it is the Plasma Gun and Melter Guns. The Grenade Launchers aren't the greatest, but the Flamers can be very useful if you fight properly, for example against demons and stuff. The Veteran Sergeant increases the stats of the squad and also gives them the rally ability, and they have access to frag and grenades and melter bombs, so very versatile. Also in Tier 2 with the melter bombs against buildings and vehicles. You cannot throw the melter bombs against aircraft, so there's the limit of those. In Tier 1 you have also access to the Bodyguards, which basically is a limit 1 very potent squad, very good in ranged combat, very versatile as well in the weaponry. Has a Flamer, Plasma Gun and Melter Gun. We will later talk about this. have a warrior acolyte, which is this guy, which can detect and is pretty good overall. And you have also the exorcist, which is a melee specialist. Decreases recharge time between two abilities. So yeah, there you go. Very good in melee, of course. In tier 2 you can, as I said before, add the weapon servitors, which have heavy bolters and can get multi-melters in exchange for anti-vehicle capabilities, and have even 2 assault servitors if they need to fight in melee. They themselves do not have the greatest melee capabilities, but this weapon servitor, assault servitor helps quite a bit. Get an HP upgrade as well in tier 3, I think. In tier 2 with the Granite Teleporter you can also add Granite Strike Squads, which are unbreakable, versatile units. You can use them in melee with their halberds, but also in range with their incinerators and psy cannons. The Justicar, which is the lead in the middle, is also pretty potent. Can be deep striked, have no teleport however, but if you get them relatively early in tier 2 they can make quite an impact. In tier 3 you get access to Terminators in the sense of these Grey Knight Terminator squads, which have a Justicar, which adds the Nemesis ability, which haunting an area and dancing around seeking weakness, basically an AoE damage ability. They can teleport and can also have incinerators and psy cannons. Incinerators are basically flamers, which have also some anti-vehicle capabilities. Should state it here, right? Yeah, increases heat, can damage even vehicles, should state here. Yeah, even vehicles. And psy cannon is more like your infantry, long-range infantry unit, like an assault cannon, but with psy stuff added. Okay, this is your infantry. We now jump to the vehicles, and I really like the vehicles. I didn't said it earlier, but you have noticed that you can get vehicles directly from your first production building. You have really fast presence in tier 2 with vehicles. And tier 2 vehicles is the Inquisitorial Chimera, which gets later than smoke launchers and a lot more HP with the vehicle cap increases. Starts with the ability to get a heavy flamer. In tier 3 I think you can get heavy bolter, autocannon or a stubber on top. And yeah, it's pretty good. Can transport stuff, of course, which then shoot out with these side lasers. The Inquisitorial Rhino is really nice as well. It's more or less a standard Rhino to begin with. It's a storm bolter. Can get hunter killer missiles, but also the field repair, which locks him in place for a bit, but repairs him for free. Very useful in between battles, or even if it you have like one Rhino gets focused, you click that while all your others still shoot. And you get the hunter killer missile ability in tier 2. You need the third vehicle cap increase research, however, so it's really late in tier 2, but you can get that hunter killer missiles against vehicles and buildings. In tier 3 you can give them even a missile launcher on top, which is also pretty neat, so then it comes to a kind of artillery role. In tier 3 you can get an Inquisitorial Leman Russ Huntsman, which is basically Leman Russ with a hell of a lot of flamers, can get multi-melters in the side and also has a heavy stub on top, so very unique. Leman Russ, limited to 1 however, instead of your usual 2, but it's also available in tier 3 however, so there you go. In tier 3.5 with the Granite Teleporter and Heavy Duty Teleporter you get the Assault Dreadnought, which is yeah, guy with a big blade here and a heavy bolter. The heavy bolter can be changed to psy cannon, assault cannon and a multi-melter for various purposes. And you have access to the support dreadnought, which has access, yeah, which is basically a Hellfire dreadnought with the missile launchers, and this is a assault cannon, I think it is called. And you can change it to an auto cannon, to a plasma cannon and a less cannon. Less cannon is I think behind tier 4, but yeah, I have seen games where these two dreadnoughts change the fight, how should I say, to change the state of a battle real quick because they're so good. They're very late in tier, but really good as well. In tier 4 you can add a Whirlwind Hyperius, which is a whirlwind. Does, however, I think, can we see it? Has these, yeah, these AoE attacks enabled, but you can change that to also have fiery grenades instead of the normal Inferno, snow and burn when impact designated target. Okay, so you can make them in incendiary instead of having a larger area and a better knockback, I guess. Yeah, and in tier 4 also you have also access to your relic units, which are one of these, Land Raider Crusader or the Land Raider Redeemer. Land Raider Redeemer has some flamers and assault cannon at its side, and I think this is a multi-melter on top. Whereas the Land Raider Crusader has like these heavy bolters at the side, and also this is, what is this on the side? Very effective against the commander and infantry, and this is only infantry, so this is longer range anti-infantry, but this is a shorter range with also with these flamers and stuff. They can both use Machine Spirit to increase their durability for a set amount of time, and they can also load in stuff. Your tier, oh wait, I think the Redeemer is special, but the Land Raider Phobos does more or less the same. Land Raider Phobos is more anti-vehicle with the last cannon in the side, also has the Machine Spirit and can load up, but the Land Raider Redeemer is your super heavy, so you can get one of these, Land Raider Crusader or Phobos, and then you can also add Land Raider Redeemer later on. Requires a critical location and a hell of a lot of resources. So yeah, but it's not kept like the others, so not kept with the others, so you can get 2 Land Raiders, which is pretty neat. You do not have access to a tier 1 Titan, but you have access to a tier 2 Titan, which is this big old side Titan, which is, I would say, one of the best, if not the best, tier 2 Titan you have out there. I would say Scarbrand would have a word with that, but in general, really strong range capabilities. Melee is okay, but also not too shabby. Has the quickening, basically making him walk faster and knock back 2 units around him. Has these death pulls. I need to read it again. Causes random lasting effects, including low morale, and yeah, reduced performance and stuff like that. So touches. Basically an AoE attack, it seems like, causing this very weird stuff. And then you have the Necrotactica, which heals this huge unit for free, basically, which is absolutely awesome. And you also have this Refractor Field, which is working with the morale bar, so basically takes less or no damage until this shield, which is basically morale, is taken down. Alright, so this is your Inquisition, but the Inquisition has a radical path, so you can get radical. What does it mean? Quickly watch over to these radical lads over here. You can get demon hosts. For that you need a Obelisk Acolyte, you can get in tier 2, and a Librarian, and then you can sacrifice an Obelistic Acolyte to get demon hosts. You can get up to 4 different demon hosts. You have rogue demon hosts, which I cannot show you here because the chance with all the upgrades is 0. Thank God, but they have a chance to appear early on, and they are rogue, as the name states. You cannot delete them. They are technically your units, but they will attack your units, basically. They live for up to, I think, 45 seconds and then dealing damage, big damage against units, and then explode in a big explosion. But the other 3 you can get are the Lesser Demon Hosts, which is more ranged focus. Can get a Re-Knit form, which is a heal ability with Demonology upgrades. Speaking of these, you get them from the Librarian. I have researched them all, but they only get available once you get your first Demon Host out. To basically all you see here has then some special effects. And then you have the Greater Demon, which has a chance beginning from if you have the first research done, but increases. I will show you in a second what the chances are. Has also the Re-Knit ability, but also Teleport, more melee focused, and also has the Terrify ability, which basically lets units from it run away. Big thing. And then here would normally be the very special Greater Demon, basically Demon Host Cherubael, which I was not able to get here for some reason. I sacrificed quite a lot of these acolytes, but was not able to. But in the saved game where I show you the survival units, I was able to get it. So I will show you later this lad. Pretty potent unit and good in melee, I think, in ranged, but has none of these abilities. These units, the Lesser Demon Hosts, are Demon Armor medium, whereas the Greater Demons are Demon Armor high. So that's why the HP is a little low, but they are way more durable. And yeah. What is also locked behind the radical path is basically the Lord Inquisitor. Has an ability Demon Strength with the 3rd upgrade, I think, and he loses some HP and cannot regenerate only if he's next to these demon hosts. Speaking of demon hosts, I wanted to show you a overview right here. You see the overview. I also have it in my drive, of course, which show you the different chances with the different researches and what is the researches locked behind. What they are locked behind you can see also in the tech tree, but I thought I added here. You see that the chances of a greater demon host just start with the first research, but yeah, the rogue demon host starts with 20%, so every 5th demon you summon gets a rogue demon and then decreases 5% until it has 0. But yeah, the 0 chance is only in tier 4. You see that the first research is in tier 2, then you have in tier 2.5 with the Domus Astra Navigatio, tier 3 and tier 4. The chance of a greater demon host increases, and then you have with the last research then also a chance to get Jerubael. Jerubael is set in the tooltip that he is only once per battle, not sure if that is true, and if this will stay true throughout the next versions, I'm also not sure. You also see the abilities, that the reknit form is locked behind the first research, the Terrify behind the second, the Demon Strength behind the third, and then the 5th one gives them also a big demon, what should I say, HP bonus, which is very useful. Stuff that is also only available for the radicals are 2 commanders. The Inquisitor Astracia, which is a tier 2 Inquisitor commander unit, very good in melee with her flaming crotches over here. Has also an Inferno pistol, it looks like. Can be attached to squad. Has a little servo skull, which gives her, I think, detection. And she has various abilities. Helm of the Witches is a single target stun and damaging ability. Then you have Silently, which is basically an infiltration ability you can use on a squad. Should work here. Let's see if it also is true if she's attached. It is, very useful. And then the Servo Skull gives her also the Sabotage ability, which stuns vehicles and buildings. Very versatile commander. In tier 3 you get access to Inquisitors Astra Sabatiel, but they share cap, so you can either or. Inquisitor Sabatiel is basically a big lady in big armor, has improved lightning arc, which is a target damaging ability for a squad. And then you have, I think, the teleport, and then you can also get Chokairo Warpsmith, which is this guy over here, which gives her 2 abilities. One is the Inconceivable Customization, increases weapon range and damage for a short amount of time, and then you have the Defense Orbs, which acts as a shield ability. These are only available if you have Chokairo here attached to the squad. The last thing you get access to are these special weapons. You can see here and here. These are weapons that slow down enemies, squads and vehicles. I think in general slow on these weapons, and yeah, you can get up to 2 even if you have more weapons slots to fill basically later on. You can up to 4 special weapons, but these are still limited to 2 to make it not too much, because the slow is pretty high on those guys, on these weapons. And yeah, that's all the benefits, and there are also downsides. The downside is that the purists, which are the Grey Knights, are no longer available for you. The squads you have will no longer be available to reinforce or get their squad leaders, which is bad. And of course you can, all these units in the Grey Knight teleporter cannot be built as long as you have a single demon host on the field. This also extends to the Librarian, which will also not be available too. You will still, however, get your relics, units and titans and all that. But everything that is Grey Knight related is not available, even these very powerful Grey Knight dreadnoughts. So there's a price to be paid. So it's a little sub-branch, you can call it, which I really like. Still not seen then in actual replays yet, but maybe after this guide people will be more knowledgeable about it. These demon hosts do not cost PopCap, but yeah, you need always to get these Acolyte, which costs you quite a lot of resources, and then you need to sacrifice them for yeah, more or less random gains. Yeah, the more researches you have, the better the chances get and stuff like that. I think this summarizes the normal units and stuff you can get in the skirmish pretty well. So we now jump over to first the rival exclusive units and then to the campaign honor guard units. Hey, post-production me here. I noticed that I forgot to tell you about 2 units and also a little fact about the Lord Inquisitor, so I say it here. I record this after I finish the whole guide, so you will hear me in the guide, and I say, oh no, I forgot about it, so I will now just edit it in for here. One thing I forgot about the Lord Inquisitor, that he gives a global map-wide buff to infantry, like this little thingies you see here. It is not stated what it is actually about, so if you know, please tell me in the comments. But yeah, it's some kind of morale or buff, I don't know really. And he also detects infiltrated units, if I haven't told you that. And yeah, there are 2 units I totally forget to tell you about. One is the Scholars. I told you that it is tier 1 then, but didn't go into detail. Yeah, the Scholars here is kind of a command squad you can think of. They have these up to 4 Scholars, which is their base unit. And then you have 4 different leader types you can add. You can have up to 4, but you can mix and match as you like. Basically like the IG command squad you think of. You have the Servo Skull here, which is immediately available in tier 1 as you build them. Increases melee damage done by the Inquisitor and reduces melee damage he takes. So best used if, for example, the Inquisitor attaches to this squad. Then you also can get the Calculus Logi right away. Calculates basically increases firing accuracy of nearby units and increases damage from enemy fire. So it's an DPS buff for your units and also a damage decreasing nerf for enemy units. So very useful. I should say that these buffs do not stack as far as I know, so you only want to have one of these if you even go for the Servo Skull. The Calculus Logi is a very much needed unit for the squad. Another very good unit is the Warrior Scribe. This is this guy over here with the book at the back and the plasma pistol. He gets a plasma pistol because he also benefits from the Officer War Gear research in tier 2 and is generally just a very good combatant, also adds the rally ability. So if you have spare slots, always go for Warrior Scribes. They add quite the fire and combat potential for the squad. And lastly, you have the Astropath. This is this guy over here. He's kind of, the description is kind of weird. Detects enemy psychic signature, increases the detection capabilities of nearby units. So basically increases detection range, I guess, and prevents the enemy to infiltrate and or use special abilities. To infiltrate is kind of weird because he already detects, but use special abilities. So basically a mute and a detection range increase. Normally not the best. What I do like to go for is 1 Calculus Logi and then 3 Warrior Scribes. They are such a pretty good unit. And you have also 2 grenades. One, how should I say, enabled with each advanced weaponry research. So the first advanced weapon research gives this red grenade. Lose health and mind gets disorientated. Basically, armor proofs infected. So this takes some damage and armor gets reduced. So this is, and the armor reduction is significant. So if you want to focus down one squad, this is the grenade to go. You want to throw it as you are opening fire or if you are in a firefight of one particular squad. I have seen a whole knob squad being disintegrated more or less with red grenade and concentrated fire. And then you have the Empyrean Brain Mine, damages enemy infantry and stuns them. So this is basically a stun. And this looks like this. Poof, stun. And this looks like this, red grenade basically. This is the armor sundering grenade. So this is very important. This one, the stun is good, but the red grenade is very important as you can get it in tier 1 as well. So you can make a really good tier 1, tier 1.5 it is then army. And the last unit I didn't even tell you about is of course the Stormhawk Interceptor, which is the aircraft unit for the Inquisition, which is, it's not very durable, not very fast as well, but has a good range and can also check crack missiles on off in a moment's notice. So you can be any anti-infantry and anti-vehicle in a moment's notice, which is very nice. And for the Inquisition you can add a Las Talon in tier 3, which adds or exchanges. I think it exchanges what it says. Upgrades the Underslug Icaro Storm Cannon. Probably this one at the bottom, right? Or these. Let's quickly check. I'm wondering myself because this is an autocannon, this is assault cannons. And then you have these rockets. Okay, yeah, it's the autocannons on the bottom now is the last cannon. So very nice, very good indeed. So this is it about the units I forgot. So now we continue, as I said earlier, with the survival exclusive units. And here we are in the survival save game I have for you. First of all, I want to show you Jeroboam. Here he is, big lad, very potent. Yeah, has this big aura around him, and yeah, these are not true actually what is here, but he can teleport. You see the damage is really high, the HP is really high, so he's quite a force to be reckoned with. It's basically an additional commander you can have, kind of. Tier 4 commander unit, really strong. Chances to get him is really low, however. You have seen it in the chart I've shown you earlier, so yeah, if you get him, you're really lucky. Your survival exclusive unit, the only unit that you can not get otherwise, is the Inquisitorial Vindicator, which is normally only available for the Grey Knights. If you play survival, you can get him also as Inquisition, as a reinforcement. And yeah, you get no turrets in normal gameplay in the skirmish, but you can get, of course, turrets in survival, which is a flamer turret and can be upgraded to a melter turret. So this is your survival units, only these three. This is something I had to show you later than I wanted to. And yeah, now we jump into the campaign honor guards. So let's see what those are again. And here you see the campaign honor guards, which is of course the same as the Grey Knights, but some of them have different weight abilities they have. We start, however, with the commanders, which is the first of all a product champion you normally would not have access to. The downside is, of course, he cannot get any additional weapon upgrades. He has a teleport, however, still in tier 3, so this stays true even if you are Inquisition, but cannot get any more weapons than the bolter and the sword he has. Can be attached to squad, very useful. Then very special is, of course, the Grey Knight Chaplain, which is normally tied to a Grey Knight Sisters of Battle squad, so he is now free and can use the demoralizing shout, which is litanies of hate, basically the same thing. Special about him that he only increases the HP regeneration of the squad he's attached to instead of having an aura around him. Then you have the Grey Knight Librarian, which is basically the Grey Knight Terminator Librarian with all the 4 books without any tier restriction, so you can give your big Grey Knight Terminator Librarian even if you're Inquisition. And then you have the Grey Knight Apothecary, which is basically your Grey Knight Terminator Apothecary in terms of model and abilities, with the healing touch, basically a healing ability targeted. Very useful to have. Very few factions have actually targeted heal ability. Grey Knights and Inquisition with this is only one of them. Then you have your Stormtroopers. They are special in the way that you do not have a commander to it, but this is the downside. But the upside is you can get all different weapons, even if you start out a game without the tier requirements, I think. And you can start off also with melter bombs and frag grenades, which is really nice. And then you have the bodyguards here with the same treatment, no squad leader units, but all weapons available right now and all these melter bombs and stuff available without any researches. So that's very useful if you have, if you need to rush your opponent in the campaign, for example. This can be very useful. And then comes the Grey Knight units with the Grand Purgator, and then you see basically what is the downside. Basically you get all the weapons here now, which is something the Grey Knights would not get, and here for all the other Grey Knight units you have the quote-unquote problem, then you cannot get all of the different weapons. The Purgators, for example, cannot get the Psy Cannon, have the Incinerators and Frag Grenades, however, enabled right away. The Strike Squad can also not get their Psy Cannons, although the Strike Squad is normally the Grey Knights of the Inquisition branch, which I find kind of funny, but okay, they can get the Incinerator and no Psy Cannon. This continues with the Paladins, which cannot get the Psy Cannon and Demon Hammers. They only can get the Incinerators and Purifying Swords. Purification is still available to them. Then you have the Grey Knight Terminators, which is normally also the Inquisition Grey Knight Terminators without a squad leader and Incinerator, but no Psy Cannon. The Venerable Assault Dreadnought, however, has all the different weapon options, the starting weapons, then the weapons at the side as well, the Flamer and the Psybolt Master of the Stonebolter, as well as the Multi-Melter. In general, this is the big lad. This is a tier 4 unit, basically, available as Honor Guard. It's very, very expensive for overworld credits, basically, but it's worth it. This unit alone lets you basically rush enemy positions. So you have of course your commander in the Lord Augustin de Laval. But still, this, if you have this dreadnought here, this allows you so much in the campaign. Really, really useful. Okay, so this finishes up all the different units you have access to, and now we jump into the Techtrees, where I will show you the different dependencies, but also say something about tier strengths. And here we are in the Techtree document. One thing before we start, I have made everything that is related to demon hosts red. The radical stuff is red, which is basically only available if you have demon hosts on the field. You see then the researches here, which are more or less available right away, but they only get available in tier 2. So that's why I have them on the overview in tier 2. Domus Astra Navigatio, the third one, tier 3, the second one, tier 3, the third one, and the fourth one in tier 4. Also the commanders over here and here, and I made it clear which units you cannot have once you're turned radical with this X here. So you see here all the Grey Knight stuff gets an X and stuff like that. What else is really important here? Nothing that I have not explained, I think. Yeah, you get the maintenance servitors here, the weapon servitors here, the different upgrades, and the special things about Inquisition that you get access to this upgrade, which is called, yeah, Psi Power 2, whatever. There's basically a passive ability for your Lord Inquisitor over here. And you see also here the Advanced Weaponry 1 and 2, which is very important for your Stormtroopers and Bodyguards. I totally forgot to tell about the Scholars in the game, which is a big problem because they are very important. We talk about them now in the unit overview, basically because they are really important unit in tier 1. You can get these drone over here, which increases, I think, recharge rate of the abilities of the Lord Inquisitor. Then you have this Calculus Logi, which has a passive that increases damage of your infantry units and decreases damage of enemy infantry units. And you have this Warrior Scribe, which is basically a big commander-like unit, basically a squad leader, which can then later on get also plasma pistols and stuff, enables them rally ability. And later down the line you get this little fellow here, which has detection itself, but also disables infiltration abilities of units around and stuff like that. So very good for infiltration stuff. And they have 2 special grenades. One increases damage taken by quite a lot, and one is I forgot, I think it's stun and stuff. So sorry for missing that. They are very important unit. They have a lot of versatility and also big strength in range combat with these warrior scribes. Think about it as a command squad. You can get up to 4 different units, but you can get some of the multiple ones, which normally is not a big deal because I think those buffs do not stack. But this warrior acolyte, if you have a whole squad with warrior acolytes, this can be very useful. Yeah, so that's sorry guys about that. But yeah, other than that, I have here the units shown. You see also the when you can get which unit, a lesser demon host and a rogue demon host. It has this cool icon over here. Yeah, if you have a rogue demon host, this can be really dicey. And then with the first research, you get also access to greater demon hosts. And the fourth one eliminates the chance of getting rogue demon hosts and also adds a chance to get a Jehu Bael. So that's that. Also made clear, yeah, these commanders of course, and made also clear that you cannot get the squad leaders for those. And also should have the weapon. If I haven't, I need to. No, here it is. Okay, have it already. Unionized vehicles, yeah, as the usual, and just make sure, yeah, the last cannon for the support dreadnought is in tier 4, so there's that. And I also, oh god, Max, not my best day, didn't showed you the Stormhawk Interceptor, which is the flyer of the Inquisition, and also the Grey Knights, but the Inquisition gets them a less talent in tier 3, making them even more potent against vehicles. I have the demon hosts here with their passive stuff and their abilities, which get enabled later on. And then last but not least, the Honor Guard and Survival exclusive units over here, all listed up. Okay, now to look at the broader spectrum. How strong is the Inquisition in tier 1, 2, and so on and so forth? They are okay in tier 1. You have versatility in the infantry, not a lot of melee capabilities, but the Lord Inquisitor makes kind of up for it. And you have also quite a utility with these scholars if you want to play a prolonged tier 1, but generally you want to have a decently timed tier 2, because tier 2 is basically where you shine. You have versatility in these assassins, which I normally not use because I'm not as good in micro and stuff, but I said it in the unit overview, but say it here again. As you only need the vehicle cap increase, which is locked behind tier 2 for good reason, so you cannot have vehicles right as you start tier 2, but you can get this research and your first vehicle basically at the same time, and this allows you to get you one of the fastest vehicles in tier 2 on the field. So you can, if you have a faster tier 2 than your opponent, you can have vehicles out really fast, so they have something to worry about it. Normally you want to start off with Chimeras and later on add some Rhinos with the more vehicle cap increases, so it can then get the Hunter Killer missiles and stuff. So very potent factions to spam Chimeras in tier 2 because they are so available so early. In tier 2 also get the weapon servitors, which enable you quite a lot, as well as the Stormhawk Interceptor. So very strong in tier 2 because of the availability of stuff so early. Also with the upgrades, some very important upgrades for infantry in tier 2. You can also play like the infantry blob kind of playstyle with scholars, bodyguards and stormtroopers with all their different grenades and abilities. Every squad has 2 grenades, so you're just throwing grenades everywhere and about, so very useful. The librarian is also okay-ish, but not as strong as for the Grey Knights. Tier 3 is also good, but it kind of slows down here. Of course, you get like the Terminators and your commander unit here, and also like your Dreadnoughts, which are tier 3.5 and very potent, but right as you start tier 3, you kind of, you need these Terminators and the Leman Russ basically to stay alive. And you can then, of course, with the heavy duty teleporter, get these Dreadnoughts, which should carry your tier 3. Of course, you make use of this very nice assassin over here. And tier 4 becomes, you see, is very light. You have one relic unit, you have a whirlwind, and you have a super heavy, and that's it. That's your tier 4, so very light. Tier 1 Titans do not exist, but the tier 2 Titan makes up for it as it is really strong. So you see the general strength for the Inquisition is more like in the tier 2, tier 3s. And how is it when you get the Demon Hosts? The Demon Hosts disable quite a lot of stuff you can get in tier 2 with the Grey Knights over here, which is also, again, something in tier 2, which is very potent, like these strike squads with the apothecaries. You basically have your good infantry in these, good vehicles, and also some staying infantry from tier 1, which is really good. So all in all makes a very strong tier 2. But you lose quite a lot of it if you go radical. So you lose quite a lot of things with these Grey Knight stuff. Your tier 2 and tier 3 gets a little less potent with it, but you get 2 very nice commanders in these Inquisitorial ladies, which increases your capabilities of your units and in general are pretty good. And of course the Demon Hosts themselves are really strong by themselves. So they are limited to 5 in the beginning, and then with the 5th upgrade limited to 7. So they need to carry then the game, and I think they can kind of carry the game there. So it's a chance. And if you go down the tiers, you can later on have the more or less standard tier 4 with the Land Raiders and the Whirlwind and stuff. So basically you trade something, you get something, more or less a branch decision you could think of. So another sub-branch for the Inquisition. Okay, with this out of the way, I now jump into the build orders I've prepared for you. And here we are in the build orders, where I have, I think, 3 to 4 build orders for you. The first one is the bread and butter for the Inquisition, basically. You want to get a second builder, then your Inquisitorial Watch and a generator, but you double build the watch and then double build the generator. Basically, you get one Stormtrooper in your HQ, and this lines up pretty nicely that when this Stormtrooper is done, that also your watch is done, so you can get a Stormtrooper here and the bodyguards in your HQ. So you then have 3 capping and fighting squads really early on. You can, for example, get also aggressive with your bodyguards really early on. Not need to wait for a commander and stuff. And of course, you in this build order, you want to get your advanced weaponry once really fast, so you can get the grenades on all your 3 Scots, and you have 3 Scots with grenades and flamers and stuff if you really need to. This Acolyte you should also get because it's really neat, and later on you want to add your Inquisitor. Yeah, 1 generator and then tier 2. Pretty good and versatile build order. Most of the time you can go wrong with that. There's a variation of that I have seen being used, which is basically the genless version of this, which allows you to get a fast Inquisitor Lord, and also is categorized, or you see that you can get this Warrior Acolyte pretty fast. The big downside about it is that you have to delay your advanced weaponry. So you do not have grenades on them, you do not have special weapons on them, so they're basically plain units, but you have your commander out a lot earlier. So this allows you for more impact right away, whereas this allows you to sustain in tier 1 later on. But then they come in, how should I say, closer together once you have the advanced weaponry after your first generator. They are more or less similar in what you can get. And there's a tier rush, which is for this faction very potent. It's still dangerous, but very potent because, as I told you earlier, how fast you can get vehicles out. And I think you get with 1 builder the watch, and with 1 builder you get the generator. And this lines up pretty nicely that you get the tier 2 then, and can get out if you get 2 listening posts, I think, up until tier 2. You can get 1 Chimera out really, really fast. I think you have power for 2 Chimeras, I think, with 1 generator until then. So yeah, you get A or 2 vehicles really fast, but then you need to make ground to get back the economy you sacrificed early on. And there's this Librarian opener, which Mr. Blue Dude more or less pioneered. I've tried some different build, but this was not very good, but this build is really potent. I casted a game of him against Rex in 6.9 where he made use of it, and yeah, won actually. If you haven't seen that already, check the cast out. Basically you get a whole bunch of Stormtroopers, a Librarian and Scholars with the Calculus Logi, which is basically your starting forces. The Calculus Logi, to say again, increases the damage of your units and decreases damage of the enemy units. So basically the Scholars with this buff your Stormtroopers. So this is the idea behind it. What is also nice is that you can get one of these Imperial icons in defensive or offensive positioning because you have a Librarian. Normally you do not get it with the other build orders here because you do not have the Librarian out that early. And then at some point you need to add a watch because the watch is what enables your tier 2. You cannot get tier 2 with a Librarian. So you want to add your watch, and once you have your watch, you want to have your bodyguards. The Warrior Acolyte, which is very important for the Scholars on the field, your squad leaders here, and advanced weapon is also still a must-have as it enables your grenades on all these squads, and also here, so you have then 5 squads with grenades. What is not recommended here is to get the Lord Inquisitor because it would delay your tech progression too much. You can try to add him in tier 2 if you really want to, or play even without him. So the Librarian opener is really neat as it allows you for good pressure early on and a good pressure also in later tier 1. But the downside is that you have to play a prolonged tier 1, cannot get tier 2 very early on the line. Okay, we finished this guide as usual with a replay. The replay is a little foreshadowing of the UGL tournament I also cover in currently, but I'm a little ahead with the cast, and I've seen a game of Mr. Blue Dude against Kubini, I think it was, which showcases the capabilities of the Inquisition branch quite well. So I want to show this replay here as well. So yeah, see you in the replay. And here we are in the replay. It is Mr. Blue Dude, as I said, as the Inquisition, but it is not against Kubini. I mixed it up. It was against Gapiar in the tournament here, UGL. He opens standard with Architect and probably a Generator soon-ish. And then we'll get a second Stormtrooper here, a Bodyguard here, and a second Stormtrooper over here. It's more or less the standard way to play it. So yeah, let's see. There comes the Generator. There you go. Pretty standard over here. And you see these lines are pretty nicely that the Inquisitorial Watch is done once your first Stormtrooper is done as well, and you can then get the bodyguards over here and the Stormtrooper over here. Then you have 3 units out relatively quick. The Stormtroopers go for the furthest point first, which is also yeah, normal kind of. And let's see if you use the bodyguard offensively or capping. Both is kind of valid. He goes for an aggressive use of them, and the Stormtroopers over here get actually this point. Okay, the bodyguards get this point, and the Stormtroopers get this point. So you see that you can get quite a lot of points pretty early on. Because it's tranquilities, and of course you need to send your builders off pretty far to the north with this point, or if you are the other player, to the south. One thing he does not get for here is the advanced weaponry, which is a how should I say, a change. Normally you see you have the resources for it. So let's see what he wants to do with the resources he spares. In Tranquility Zend it's really nice to get these points more or less at the same time. And then later on this point. These go for the relic, I think, and those go for here. So you have a pretty standard capping order as well. And you have a lot of points really early on. So economy at the start is pretty good. Now he reinforces the bodyguards and gets aggressive. You can get the warrior acolyte, but you see it's very costly. And he spent the resources for something. To secure this point over here. He plays against Dark Elder. Just so you know, there comes the warriors. Pretty late warriors on this point, so not sure what Gab was doing in his base. So he can immediately go aggressive, as he saw only warriors and nothing else. No Hellions, no Mentrix, so warriors. And there comes the Archon. Okay, the Archon is something you want to run away for, or you get stunned. No stun yet. Okay, I was thinking there goes the stun. There comes the stun, which is pretty deadly if you have like more units shooting it. For just one squad of warriors it is okay. He can run away. Upgrading his outer listening post, it's interesting. So he goes for more economy and still no advanced weaponry here. That's interesting. Maybe he wanted to see what he KPR does first, but grenades, for example, here would be very useful already. So yeah, for now he used it to upgrade the listening post and upgrade another listening post. So more economy focused, less army focused. Like no... Okay, here comes some reinforcement, but he cannot fight this without grenades basically. But yeah, they run away still into the negative cover. He follows them in the negative cover, which is kind of interesting. He wants to focus melee combat and relying on the Imperial Icon, I think. Once this is out, this will peel off warrior models, very expensive warrior models with 50 requisition, costing as much as a Space Marine. But for now it's focused on the Archon here, and you see what this makes this so special. He goes into really fast tier 2 even with the how should I say, with the standard build first, and he even goes for a fast tier 2. So you have some more map presence, some faster map capping, you can get some upgraded listening posts and secure them more or less, and still allow you a relatively fast tier 2 with one generator. So for this you need to skip the special weapon upgrade. But yeah, let's see if it's gonna be worth or not, because for now he's rather pushed back on this point, but the economy looks pretty neat still. So with the tier 2 rush I have in the build order, you do not have this good of an economy at this point. Economy would be way lower, but you would have tier 2 already by now. So let's see these warriors. You can see the bodyguards fight pretty well against bodyguards, against infantry in general. There comes the homunculus with his hand and acid stuff over here. The listening post gets a hell of a lot of damage done, but also deals a hell of a lot of damage, and the stormtroopers stay here and shoot as well. There comes in the architect trying to save it, saves it for a second, still saving it, and but yeah, then explodes. Needs to make sure to build a point. Yeah, cannot be decapped because of that, and tier 2 is about to finish. In tier 2 the first priority, if you go for vehicles, is not to click the unit, but rather click the technology, because the technology takes longer than the building. If you have to decide because of resources, low resources, you always want to prioritize the resource first. So the first research would allow you for 2 cameras. So let's see, the camera is done, but the research is not. So we wait for the research to be done, And then we will see the first Chimera. He lost a point, which you see dampers his income quite a bit, but yeah, getting more generators for now. Not sure if that is, yeah, the vehicle cap increases cost you quite a lot of requisition if you want to get more, but there it comes. The first Chimera out in minute 6. With the rush it would be minute 3 or 4, I think minute 4. Without it and better economy you have it at minute 6, and I still have a bit of infantry. One squad of infantry getting killed here. Second squad doesn't look well either, but there comes the Chimera through the river and yeah, comes to save this. Question is, what does he go for? He has no special weapons. That is another listing post taken up, but there comes the Flamer. The Flamer is a really nice touch, which I myself do not use too much, but it's a lot better than I make it be, because you can yeah, tank the armor, the morale of a squad really well. I mean, these warriors have pretty good morale, so it takes quite a bit of time, but still, breaking the enemy morale is never a bad idea. And yeah, the second Chimera is out now. He gets the second vehicle technology, which gives them smoke launchers and increases the HP. You can see it starts with 175, and once the research is done, it jumps up a bit. No, I thought it was. Maybe the third one it is then. One Chimera going down, but the next Chimera should be on the way already. No, not yet. Adding the body arts back again, which I find interesting to get some more infantry. For now, he's basically on the back foot. But yeah, his vehicles, and it does not look like APR has tier 2 capabilities with this much tier 1 presence with Homunculus and Archon, which is a prolonged tier 1 build. So he gets actually the bodyguards to capture this point over here, which I find interesting. And now adding more Chimeras. Can get up to 5 Chimeras now with the current upgrade he has. And what is he going for? Another vehicle. Increases the durability. And adds 100 killer missile launchers to the Rhinos, so we will this time see the HP jump up. Also get, I think, a little visual change over here. For now, Chimera is just buying time. The squad leaders for the Dark Elder have decent anti-vehicle capabilities, and so does the Incubi over here. Two Chimeras still here. 2 killed, two is still here. And for what they do, they are relatively cheap vehicle. The Chimera in general, the Inquisition makes great use of them as well. And there you go, you see, plus 500 HPs for those having this little side stuff over here. So they became really tanky, really fast. Warriors, bodyguards, I always call them warriors, but bodyguards being really useful over here. And we don't see any critical location victory as well. There comes the Dark Matter Blaster, which has one big downside, it kills your melee units, so there you go. But yeah, you see Dark Matter Blaster is good, but also the Battle Rifles would also deal decently against those. So the Dark Elder have some anti-vehicle capabilities in tier 1 actually. The Homunculus is he getting one? He gets one Chimera, so very nice from him. But yeah, another Chimera is out, and yeah, more and more Chimeras it will be from now on. Economy is relatively low, but depends what the KPR has here, if you can fight back this or not. For now, KPR should have the bigger map control, but yeah, bodyguards is actually a good idea to replace not stormtroopers, because I think they cost similarly, but the bodyguards are better. But yeah, they are limited as well. So yeah, they are better in weapon damage and that stuff. More and more Chimeras for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Chimeras now. One Chimera stays here to get a Tower of Loathing. And one is here trying to fight back the Archon. Archon uses one Incubus and is himself pretty roasted over here. 2 Flamers. Poor lad getting past as well a bit. And will survive for now. The Incubus, wow, barely. But there's the Dark Foundry, so he found it. And I'm not sure if he's tier 2 still, because he got the Dark Foundry, it looked like in tier 1 with the weapons for the warriors. So this depends now what to see here. 1, 2, I think this should be now. Okay, now he's adding the Rhinos, and these Rhinos have the 100 killer missile ability. Not sure if he uses it or not. Keep an eye out for it. But he now split his attention to attack on multiple angles, so the APR needs to decide which side he wants to focus. And yeah, this is the quote-unquote normal build-up to get some rhinos here, and then you would normally add a granite teleporter to seal the deal if you so need. But yeah, he moves in. Not sure, you cannot tell if it's tier 2 with the building over here, but here he still sees some warriors with dark matter blasters. Yeah, so they will take down some criminals, but it's not good enough. You also have the special weapon for the Archon, so there was the shredder rifle research for the commanders and units basically. And the radar is titled to be anti-vehicle, but to be honest it doesn't deal real damage against anything, and also can be targeted by hunter-killer missiles if he hasn't already. 2 rhinos standing here idle for a bit, so that's a misplay. But in general he is in good control of the game over here. Even the bodyguards now getting the strategic point over here, adding back the Chimera he has lost. And as I said, he could now add a granite teleporter once he has some more power, and could end the game this way. Landing into enemy base, there are some scourges, but they are just being built, right? Yeah, Darklands now being added here, so they try to jump out of here. You will maybe get a rhino or two, but you will lose your base as well. So you see, these vehicles for the Inquisition are really mean. A mean customer. Really early on the line, pretty tanky as well. But yeah, can be countered by a strong anti-vehicle. For example, what I was facing an early harassment as well. Like one game I had was against witch hunters where they use Celestians, not Celestians, they are Seraphims, and Seraphims killed my economy early on, and then in tier 2 got melter bombs and stuff. So it was kind of painful to play against. So but here it worked really well because he like opened normally and then transitioned to heavy vehicles. So I found that very interesting. So this is why I wanted to show it here. Also in general, Mr. Blue did quite a great inventor of Inquisition strategies and stuff. So he loves to play them. So yeah, nice that I could show a replay of him playing those. Okay, so this ends now the guide. Sorry again for missing the Scholars and the Stormhawk Interceptor in the unit overview. I told about them in the tech tree part of the video, so if you skipped that part and wondered about the 2 units, you can watch it again. Yeah, I hope to see more of the radical Inquisition now that I showed it off in more detail. So yeah, guys, make it work. But yeah, as usual, if I have missed something, please add it here. If I told you something wrong, also put in the description. I make sure to pin the comment with the most information and stuff like that. So, but as usual guys, thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye bye!